Hello everyone. My name is Mariam Noureddin from SEK International School Qatar and Camilo José Cela University, Madrid, Spain. Across international education, classrooms are becoming increasingly diverse. Learners bring different languages, cultures, identities, and life experiences, challenging educators to move beyond one size fits all approaches to language education. Arabic provides a particularly interesting example of this challenge. In international schools, it may be a host language, a heritage language, an additional language, or a compulsory subject language, all within the same classroom. This presentation introduces the learner language relationship, or LLR, a conceptual framework that encourages us to look beyond proficiency and consider what Arabic means in learners' lives. By understanding learners' relationships with Arabic, we can design more inclusive, meaningful, and responsive language education. To understand why this shift is needed, let's first look at the unique position of Arabic in international schools. Before introducing the learner-language relationship framework, it's important to understand why Arabic represents a unique case in international education. Unlike many other languages taught in international schools, Arabic can play several roles simultaneously. For some learners, it's the host language of the country in which they live. For others, it's heritage language that connects them with their family, culture, and identity. For many, it's learned as an additional language, while for others, it's a compulsory subject required by the curriculum. As a result, learners may sit in the same classroom with similar levels of proficiency, faces, but very different relationships with Arabic. This diversity is what makes Arabic education particularly complex, and it raises an important question. Is proficiency alone enough to understand our learners or diagnose our learners? Imagine two students, student A and student B, with exactly the same level of Arabic proficiency. According to traditional approaches, they would be grouped together because they appear academically similar. However, their learning experiences can be completely different. Student A, for example, sees Arabic as part of their identity and uses it with family members. Arabic has personal meaning, which often increases motivation and engagement. However, student B sees Arabic mainly as a compulsory school subject and rarely uses it outside the classroom. Although both students A and B demonstrate the same level of proficiency, their relationship with Arabic is fundamentally different. This raises an important question. Again, is proficiency alone enough to understand our learners? The previous examples from the previous slide suggest that proficiency is an essential starting point, but it does not capture the full complexity of language learning. Current educational practice often focuses on grouping learners, planning instruction, and assessing progress primarily through proficiency. These are important elements, but they provide only part of the picture. What is often missing are the personal dimensions that shape how learners experience the language, such as their identity, belonging, motivation, agency, and confidence and aspirations. Recognizing these dimensions, the learner centered dimensions, does not replace proficiency. Rather, it enriches our understanding of learner and opens new possibilities for more inclusive and meaningful Arabic language education. Thus, the learner language relationship offers a broader conceptual lens by recognizing that learners bring identities, experiences, aspirations, and personal meanings to the language they learn. The LLR framework complements it, providing a richer foundation for understanding learners and designing more inclusive Arabic language education. So let me introduce the LLR framework. As you can see that the LLR is proposed as a conceptual framework for understanding how learners relate to Arabic beyond their level of proficiency. At the center of the framework is the learner's relationship with Arabic. As an example, this relationship is shaped by several interconnected dimensions, including identity, belonging, family, culture, motivation, and learner agency. These dimensions do not exist independently. They interact continuously and influence how learners engage with Arabic, participate and engage in the classroom, and make meaning from their learning experiences. Importantly, the framework does not suggest that every learner experiences these dimensions in the same way. Rather, each learner develops a unique relationship with the unique relationship for that. At the heart of this framework is a simple idea. Educational decisions should be informed not only by what learners know, but also by how they relate to Arabic. The framework begins with the learner language relationship, recognizing that learners bring different identities, motivations, experiences, and aspirations to the Arabic classroom. These relationships shape how they engage with the learning and should therefore inform educational practice. Building on this understanding, the framework proposes four interconnected areas: curriculum planning, pedagogy, assessment, learning experiences. Rather than treating these as separate components, they work together to create coherent, inclusive, and culturally responsive learning environments. When educational decisions are informed by learners' relationships with Arabic as a specific subject, they can better support meaningful participation, learner agency, confidence, belonging, and long term language development continuum while maintaining high expectations for language achievement. In this way, the LLR framework complements proficiency by providing a broader and more learner centered foundation for Arabic language education in multilingual international schools. The framework translates also the learner language relationship into educational practice. How? By informing curriculum planning, teaching, and assessment. It supports more flexible learning pathways, responsive pedagogy, and meaningful assessment that recognize learners' diverse experience while maintaining high expectations for achievement and high standards. Ultimately, it helps create learning environment that are more inclusive, culturally responsive, and learner centered, as previously mentioned. Building on this educational transformation, the framework also offers practical implications for teachers, curriculum designers, and school leaders. So, the framework can be applied at multiple levels of educational practice. For curriculum, it supports flexible pathways, as we said, and authentic communication. For pedagogy, it encourages learner centered and culturally responsive teaching. And for assessment, it values multiple forms of evidence and recognizes learner growth. And finally, school leadership plays a key role in creating policies and professional learning that support inclusive Arabic language education. Beyond its practical applications and implications, the framework also uh, makes a broader conceptual contribution to the field. So the main contribution is the introduction of the LLR as a new conceptual lens for Arabic language education. It extends current discussions on multilingualism, identity, and inclusion while providing a practical framework to support curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. It also offers a foundation for future research exploring how learners' relationships with Arabic influence engagement, belonging, learner agency, and long term language development. To conclude, I would like to leave you with three key messages from this presentation. By understanding not only what learners know, but also what Arabic means in their lives, and we can design more inclusive, meaningful, and responsive learning experiences. Language learning extends beyond proficiency, and learners' relationships with language shape how they engage, participate, and learn. Thus, the LLR framework offers a new learner centered lens for Arabic language education in multilingual international schools. Let us continue the conversation and discussion on how we can create more inclusive, meaningful, and empowering language education for every learner. Thank you for your attention and looking forward to your questions and comments.